Chronic diseases such as diabetes, heart problems, stroke, arthritis, and cancer are some of the most commonest diseases in the UK and all across the globe. However, there's a growing body of evidence that these related could be associated with food toxicity, and this is what we're going to be talking about in this video. So if you want to learn more about it, stay tuned. My name is Dr. Zulqarnain Ahmed. I'm a GP in Bolton, and I make videos about health, productivity and lifestyle. And welcome to another surgery. We live in a world where we are obsessed with appearance nowadays. And if you don't believe me, look at your Twitter, our Facebook, our Instagram feed, which is full of pictures of perfect people with perfect weight, perfect skin colors, and all the rest of it. And in addition to that, there are various myths associated with losing weight as well. So for example, this particular diet is good for you, fat is bad for you, and this is the perfect diet for you. All of that has led us to believe that diet is merely about losing weight. However, it's much more than that. And there are various myths surrounding this topic as well. For example, fat is bad for you. In addition to that, all these weight loss gurus have also led us to believe that diet is all about weight, and you can spend a certain amount of time and money for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you can go back to your life again and life will be perfect for you. While we all know that that's not true. The main problem is that nowadays our diets are full of sugar, be in the form of refined sugar, for example biscuits, muffins, cookies, etc. Growing body of evidence that sugar is poisonous for our body, and if we want to get better and get our health back, we need to work on reducing our sugar intake. That's what we'll be talking about in this video as well. So we will discuss my 5-step approach to get you into better shape and better health. Number 1, avoid sugar. Like we said before, sugar is everywhere, be it breakfast cereals, our smoothies, our food full of rice, pasta and all the other things. But if we want to get into better shape and get our health back, we need to reduce our sugar intake. We know that sugar is associated with type 2 diabetes, and type 2 diabetes is increasing. Here in the UK, we have about 3.5 million living with the diabetes and 1.1 million who don't know that they may have diabetes. We here in the UK are fortunate enough to have National Health Service, and when we look at the figures, we spend around £10 billion every year into diabetes or diabetes related complications. This accounts for 10% of the annual NHS budget, and it comes to around £27 million per day and more than 1 million per hour. Let's just think about it. That's a huge amount of money we're spending on diabetes and diabetes related complications. And it doesn't just end there. Children's food are spiked with sugar as well. Starting from, again, breakfast cereals, milk for the babies and all the rest of it. It's all full of sugar. When I talk to my patients, they ask me, Dr. Ahmed, yes, we understand, and most people do, that we're consuming too much sugar and we need to reduce. However, how are we supposed to know that we're eating too much sugar? And the answer is very simple. If you're feeling the need to eat every 2 hours, or otherwise you'd feel shaky or dizzy, then this might be a sign that you're consuming too much sugar. If you're having an afternoon slump, that might also mean that you're consuming too much sugar. And some people can also feel shaky or dizzy if they haven't had much to eat after 2 to 3 hours. That's also another sign. One of the key body function is to keep blood sugar in a tightly controlled range, or else otherwise our bodies wouldn't be able to work properly. When we consume food which are quickly converted into sugar, for example bread, pasta, rice, cookies or muffins, our body pumps tiny amount of a chemical or hormone called insulin, and insulin brings this level down back to normal. And if we have been abusing this system, for example by eating too much sugar or too many cereals or other food which are quickly converted into sugar, then our body becomes resistant to this small amount of insulin. And as a result, it has to produce more and more insulin to have the same effect. So basically, the more insulin we have, the more insulin resistance we have, and the more fat we have, and it becomes much more difficult to lose weight. So at this point, our bodies are toxic. And people think that sugar is all about diabetes. It is not. There are also other diseases which are associated with it. So for example, gaining weight, it's also related to heart diseases, it's also related to stroke, and it's also related to some forms of cancer as well. And in women particularly, it can cause large amounts of testosterone, which can result into polycystic ovarian syndrome, which can affect the fertility as well. So what is the solution to that? So the solution is simple. We need to reduce the amount of sugar we consume. And there are two ways of doing it. Some people like to do it all of a sudden in one go, which is a bit of a difficult because you might be getting some withdrawal symptoms, including dizziness, tiredness, fatigue, brain fogginess. However, I think the better way of doing this is a gradual decrease in the amount of sugar you consume. So what that means is that you need to reduce the amount of carbohydrates you consume. So in terms of breakfast, cereal is not a good option at all. So maybe consider having boiled eggs with tea or coffee, or you might want a healthy smoothie or something like that. And during the day, you also need to reduce the amount of carbohydrates and increase the amount of vegetables. So perhaps consider having a salad with some cheese and maybe a piece of meat of your choice. I might want to consider buying a recipe book, including either paleo or Mediterranean diet to help you with these recipes, and that might also help. I do have certain tips when you want to reduce the amount of sugar you consume. So for example, number 1, plan limited social engagement for 2 weeks, because the more you have social engagement, the chances are that you'll be eating the wrong kind of food. In addition to that, clear out your cupboards. Willpower on its own is not enough. And the third thing, which is linked to the second one, is that have healthy snacks readily available. So for example, celery sticks, carrots, nut butter, piece of fruit or olives, have them readily available in your kitchen, so you don't have to put much effort in if you're feeling a bit peckish or hungry. Number 2, increase the amount of vegetables you consume. We know here in the UK, we're all aware of this 5 a day message. So you're supposed to consume 5 different types of fruits or vegetables in a day. However, I would suggest that we need to change this to 5 different vegetables a day, and ideally of different colors. We all know that vegetables are good for us and we need to consume more of that. But most of you may not be aware that these vegetables are also good for our gut bacteria. Yes, we do have a lot of gut bacteria, and according to an estimate, we may have anywhere between 30 trillion to 400 trillion more microorganisms in our body. And they help serve different functions, and one of the functions is that they help in digestion of food and making certain chemicals which help in the digestion of food and other food products, and as a result we get more energy out of the food we consume. So that means that these gut bacteria are very, very important. In addition to that, these gut bacteria are also first part of our defense mechanism in the body as well. Another important function of these gut bacteria is they produce a chemical called short chain fatty acid, which reduces the inflammation and prevents against a lot of chronic diseases, including diabetes, heart disease, and even Alzheimer's disease. And eating different color vegetables bring different phytonutrients, which can help reduce the risk of cancer and can actually reverse aging as well. And when we're talking about vegetables, berries, including blueberries, raspberries and strawberries, need a special mention because they're full of phytonutrients and good sources of chemicals which are needed for our body. So we do need to include them in our diet as well. And in addition to that, avocado is another great source of good fats and different nutrients. So we do need to include them in our diets as well. So third way in which we can reduce the toxicity in our bodies is by fasting. Yes, don't be alarmed by fasting. It's not detrimental to your health. In fact, the opposite. There's something called intermittent fasting, or alternative would be time-restricted eating. So intermittent fasting is that you fast some days out of your week, or whatever's possible for you, and then you eat normally for the other days. So for example, some people, the most common way people do it is fast 2 days out of their week, and during the day when you fast, you only supposed to have one meal, but you can have drinks. You can have your tea, you can have your herbal teas and drinks, soups with it. And this helps us to clear our body and liver of toxic substances, and it also starts a process in the body called autophagy, which is a natural process by which body clears itself. And this can prevent diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's disease. In addition to that, other benefits of fasting also include low levels of inflammation, low levels of insulin and low blood sugar as a result, improved cell function and energy, and people feel more energetic and more creative as a result, enhanced detoxification, and improved appetite signaling. All of these helps us lose weight and get our bodies to attain optimum health. And time-restricted eating is that you eat for a certain period of time, for example, 12 hours out of your 24 hours. So you can have a window of 12 hours in which you can eat, and then you can have a window of 12 hours in which you don't eat anything, and you still get some of these benefits which we talked about. So the easier way to do that would be to have your breakfast, for example, at 8 o'clock or 7:30, and then you have your last meal of the day at 8 o'clock in the evening. And then you don't have anything from 8 o'clock in the evening to 8 o'clock in the morning. You can have fluids or herbal teas, but nothing with any sweeteners or anything which might affect your fasting. And once you get used to this, then you can slowly over a period of time, you can increase the time restricted window to perhaps 14 hours or 16 hours in which you're fasting, and then you have a 8-hour window in which you eat. And trick really is to use an approach which you think will suit you, and also involve your family, involve your spouse, your children, and they will also benefit hugely from this as well. Number 4, the next point by which we can reduce the toxicity in our bodies through drinking more water. When I talk to my patients on almost daily basis, most people don't drink enough water. And although we are aware of that, but we still don't manage to drink as much as we should do. And especially now, the time of summer, we need to drink a bit more than what we normally would do. As a rough guide, we should be aiming for at least 8 glasses of water, which is about 1.2 litre of water. And if you struggle to drink water, I'll give you an easy way to overcome that. As some of you may know, that 60% of our bodies are made up of water. Hence, water is essential for our body function, and we can only live few days without water, while we can live without food for a lot longer. So again, from my experience, how do you know that you might not be drinking enough water? One of the signs could be that you might feel sluggish or tired in the afternoon. Some people get headache, and some people may find themselves dizzy as soon as they get up. All of these things could be related to dehydration. It's also worth mentioning here that if you're drinking high energy drinks or fizzy drinks or orange juice or any other juices, that unfortunately isn't going to improve your dehydration. In fact, it'll dehydrate you even more, because a lot of these fruit juices and fizzy drinks contain a lot of sugar, and sugar we know dehydrates us, and as a result we need to drink more and more, but we're still dehydrated. So that's not a solution at all. And if you're somebody like one of my patients who struggle to drink more water, here's what I would tell them. Drink 2 glasses of water first thing in the morning before breakfast. Add another glass of water half an hour before every meal. Try having 1 or 2 glasses mid-morning and mid-afternoon. And before you know it, you're already on 8 or 9 glasses and you only got another couple to drink. And this is an easy way to increase your water intake. And we know that water also helps clearing our bodies and important element of detoxification process. We've heard about so many detox diets and all other fat diets. However, none of those work, but drinking water can also help you detoxify your body. And it's an easy thing to do, and it doesn't cost any money either. Now, the 5th and the last step of this process is to reduce the amount of processed food in your diet. I would call it unprocess your diet. Let me give you this good news. You don't need to count calories. You don't need to count or weigh the amount of food you're eating. You don't need to look at every fat and carb you're consuming. You can achieve all of those things and all of those benefits by just this simple step, which is avoid processed food. What is processed food? Anything which has more than 5 ingredients, or it has gone to a factory before it has got to you, then consider taking it out of your diet. For example, an easy example would be bread, and the foods you're usually eating should be the one you can prepare at home. The reason why I say that is a lot of these processed foods are low quality and high in sugar and low in fats, and they are not digested properly, and they give us so many problems, including things like leaky gut. They increase the inflammation and they lead to more weight gain, more insulin in our bodies, and our bodies are more toxic as a result. So if we want to reverse that, we need to stop having them. When it comes to food, planning is the key. We know that we all have busy lives and busy jobs, and things can get in the way. But if we were to plan things properly, a batch cook over a weekend or another couple of days when you have more time, that can save us a lot of time and a lot of hassle, and it can help us improving our diet. Just a couple of important tips. When we are cooking at home, avoid cooking in any vegetable oil. Vegetable oils, we know, can be pro-inflammatory, and this increases inflammation in our bodies, which is exactly what we are trying to avoid. So if you are cooking at home, you can use butter, ghee, or extra virgin olive oil, which is especially good for putting on salads, and it also gives us omega-3 as well, which is what we need to reduce this inflammation, and it's also good for our skin and our joints. Number 2, avoid highly refined carbs in your diet, but you can have healthy carbs like potato or sweet potato. Number 3, avoid ready-made meals, which are usually high in salt, high in sugar, and they are pro-inflammatory and increases the inflammation in the body, which is what we're trying to avoid. And when we're talking about food, I know that our lives are complicated and it might not be possible for us to do this all the time. However, I think of it in terms of my 80-20 rule, which basically means that as long as you have this pattern of diet 80% of the time, other 20% of the time you can kind of give yourself a treat. And in addition to that, movement or exercise can also help. So if you want to learn more about that, click on this video here, in which we will talk to you more about how movement or exercise can also help us. Thank you very much. May peace be upon you.